It's not just the discontent that we see in the Scripture that unnerves me. It's the discontent that we see in our own lives, in my own life. All of my single friends seem to want to be in relationships, and everyone that's in a relationship wants to be married. Yet everyone that's married or in a relationship seems to want to be free and have time to do the things that single people get to do. My friends that are couples that don't have kids yet all are waiting for that stage when they have kids. And those that already have kids, or several kids, are looking back to the time when they had the opportunity to get out and to do leisurely activities, to take naps and such. The unemployed all want jobs, and those with good jobs all want to sleep in on Monday mornings. Seminary students all seem to want pastorates, yet so many pastors want the opportunity to rest and to re-educate. Children and my roommate both want puppies, but they don't want to deal with the puppies once they have them. I'm not even content with my outline. So why read a passage from Ecclesiastes? We're all so familiar with Ecclesiastes. That's not true. We're all very familiar with one passage in Ecclesiastes. I know one other passage because my professor of Hebrew used to always read it right before a test. He said, "Of the making of books there is no end, and much study wearies the soul." That was never helpful before an exam. The guy that writes Ecclesiastes, the gatherer, so often says, this is meaningless. This is hopelessness. This is vanity. Translate it however you will. He has a good recognition of discontent. His discontent is not birthed out of a lack of things, but out of a lack of something of value. He's confused and he's working through that for us. I think there are a few answers we give to discontentment, to how to get out of this feeling of unease with what is. Some good, some not so good. The first one is a defeatist resignation. This is the cliche of c'est la vie. This is the idea of the determinist, that what is and will continue to be, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's an interesting response because it almost pretends like pushing the question off or ignoring it for now really makes it any better. The second one is this willful ignorance. If defeatist resignation is the determinist, then willful ignorance is the philosophy of high school football coaches. Tough it out, walk it off, and rub some dirt in it. And this is all well and good for minor cuts, scrapes, and bruises. Not so much for cracked collarbones, for torn ACLs, for concussions and the like. See, this too won't help us to figure out what's wrong with the world. This too won't help us to figure out what's wrong inside of ourselves. It doesn't ultimately answer this discontent. There is another attempt to get past this question. And this is about looking to the season that is next in life. I'd say this is probably either bad optimism or escapism. See, that passage in Ecclesiastes brings something out that I haven't noticed before about discontent. The author doesn't say, get through the planting so that you can do the plucking. He doesn't say, suffer a little bit of weeping so you can get to some laughter. He doesn't say, get through the mourning so we can get to dancing. He says there is a time for each. There's a time for silence and a time for speaking. A time for hard and a time for good. And both of these are spiritual positions. We tend to think that once we get out of seminary, once we get done with this class or with this exam, everything's going to be good again. And it usually is for about a week. When I was a child, I wanted a certain toy. And I would finally get that toy. And by the time I was in the car, that thing was unwrapped and I was already figuring out what all the gadgets did and what kind of accessories I could lose or choke or swallow or lose. And by the time I got home, my attention towards this toy was waning. By the time the week was out, I had lost all the gadgets and the guy that uses the gadgets. None of these things satisfied. See, this attempt, it teaches us that we should escape certain things and wallow in others. But there's something about Christianity that says we don't just sit around anxiously prolonging the good periods for as long as we can sustain them. See, I think Paul has a different answer. Paul has an answer that says, look not to what is next, but look to what is ultimate. What do I mean by ultimate? Not ultimate frisbee. Ultimate in two senses: last and most important.